For those, oh, there isn't anybody new in here, is there? If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then what are all the things we know are true? One, what makes it a parallelogram? Opposite sides are parallel. If we were to draw a picture of that, you'd have one arrow there, two right there. Does everyone agree? What else is true? Opposite sides are also what? Congruent. That makes it a parallelogram. Use a pen for the picture. How about that? That's congruent to that. That is congruent to that. Everyone agree with that so far? The arrows mean that they're parallel, correct? 3, what else is said to be true? Okay. One diagonal creates two congruent triangles. Triangle DBC is congruent to triangle ACB. That is correct. Anything else? What does that mean? Or what? If I was to draw a picture of that, this angle would be congruent to this one, would it not? This angle is congruent to that one. You guys remember that? Stop. Stop. Consecutive angles are what?
180.
That's not the word I'm looking for, though. Supplementary. Right? If they're on top or beside each other, what do? add to 180. Is there anything else to do with the diagonals?
The diagonals bisect each other.
The diagonals bisect each other. Picture of that. That cuts that in half, and that one cuts that one in half. Doesn't cut them into 2 equal halves, or doesn't cut them into 4 equal parts, but it cuts them into 2 equal halves per diagonal. Now, the new one. If you remember at the top of this statement, I say what? If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then this is true, 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 this is true. Okay? There's one other thing that's true. And what these are all, if you find any one of these to be true, then you can say that that's a what? Parallelogram. These are tests for parallelograms. These are all tests for parallelograms. All of these are things that are true about every parallelogram, aren't they? But there is one new one, that if this happens, you can also say it's a parallelogram. If a set of opposite sides are both parallel and congruent, then it is a parallelogram. Now I'm going to draw a little bit bigger picture here. Give me a pair of opposite sides in this picture. No, that's opposite angles. Opposite sides. AB and BDC are opposite, are they not? If the opposite sides are both, this indicates them being what? And what does this indicate them being? So if the same set are both what? Parallel and what? Then it's a parallelogram. These are all your different tests for parallelograms. Everybody get out your little red books for 6-3. So everybody got that down to where I can cover that up now?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to look at the directions for on page 75. Darn it, I forgot to make it full screen again. What does it say here? Find x and y so that the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So you have to pick one of those things that are true. And as a result, you ought to be able to create a valid equation, correct? Let's look at number 1. If this is a parallelogram, what's true about the sides? Isn't that what they gave us something about? They gave us, you know, something for this measure, something for this measure, something, you know, so on and so on. What do we know is true then? So what equations could I make from that fact?
2x minus 2 plus 12
And 2y is equal to 8. Does everyone see how I got the two equations I got right there? Put your phones up. What am I going to do now? Just solve each of them. Add 2 to each side. I get 2x is equal to 14, divide by 2. X is equal to what?
7.
Here I'm just going to divide both sides by 2. Y is equal to what? It's not so bad, is it? Let's move down to number 3 since it's right here. What do I know about the following opposite or congruent? Does that help me find an equation? What equation does it help me find? Divide both sides by? What's y equal to? But does that help me find every variable? Which one does it not? Does it not help me find? What else do I know about these? Consecutive ones beside or on top of each other were what? Supplementary. So if this one's 25, what's the one right next to it got to be? How about 155? Is that right? So now you have an equation. 5x equals 155. Divide both sides by what?
5.
X is equal to?
31.
Make sure you've got that written down. Everybody look at number 4. What do we know here? First of all, tell me an equation that pops out at you right now.
9x equals 4.
Why?
Because the bisector makes two congruent triangles and the
And these are the corresponding angles, correct? Also, if these two are parallel, then these are alternate interior angles, right? So 9x equals 45 is one of them. You find x equal to be what? 5? What's the other equation you can make? 18 and 6y deal with the what? Sides. So 18 is equal to what? Divide both sides by 6. What's y equal to?
3.
Let's look at number 6. Does anybody know how to do this one? Might be a little confused here, huh?
You can do
Think of it like this, though. This plus this, you know these two have to add to what?
180.
You know 6y plus 3x is equal to 180. That doesn't help you, though, does it, really? What do I know about these two?
They equal 60.
No, they equal, what are these two?
Oh,
They add to what?
180.
180. And they're congruent. There's only one way to split up 180 evenly, and that's to divide it by?
4.
To split up 180 evenly? Divide by 2. So what does that make this? This one what? Now are there some equations you can write? 6y is equal to what? 90. And 3x is equal to what? Make sure you got that written down. On number 5, what's your two equations? 2x equals 30. And what else?
X plus Y,
Equals?
24.
Which one of those two can you solve?
2x equals
2x equals 30. What's x equal to?
15.
Now what can I put in over here for x?
15.
So this becomes 15 plus y is equal to 24. Subtract 15 from both sides. Y is equal to what?
9.
Any questions?